Now that we're familiar with unplanned retail locations, let's begin our discussion on planned retail locations. As mentioned in the previous lecture, planned locations do have a centralized management system dictating a lot of the rules and operational regulations of a retail location. Let's dive right in and talk about some of the planned shopping center restrictions. A planned shopping center is going to have a shopping center manager that makes and enforces policies. The shopping center manager is going to be employed by a shopping center property management firm. And so, one of the most important things, maybe to a retailer, that the central decision making firm takes care of is what we call common area maintenance. So, this common area maintenance means that the management firm will provide security for the retail location. They'll make sure that there's lighting in the parking lot. They'll take care of the outdoor signage. They'll deal with trash pickup. They'll maintain the building. And there's a few other things that they do too. All planned shopping centers are generally going to be groups of retail stores that have what we call anchor stores in them in order to attract customers, but also to attract retailers to the shopping center. So anchor stores are some of the larger big box stores that we see, such as department stores like Macy's or Sears. Burlington Coat Factory is a very common anchor store. Sometimes even a full-line discount store like a Walmart or a Target could be considered an anchor store to a planned shopping center. Now, obviously, having large department stores or category specialist stores will attract customers to a planned shopping center, but I want you to think about and discuss in the Chapter 7 discussion board why anchor stores are good at attracting other retailers to join the planned shopping center, because anchor stores do have the potential to attract retailers to the location. All right, so there are 7 types of planned shopping centers. So there's a large number that we're going to go through here, and it does come out kind of like a list. So bear with me as we work through this lecture. But let's start by talking about convenience, neighborhood, and community shopping centers. That's the title in your book. You are most familiar with this group of planned shopping centers and know them as strip malls. So strip malls are attached rows of open air stores. Here's an example of one on your screen there. There are a couple of advantages to operating in a strip mall. The first is that there is on-site convenient parking, so you can generally pull up right in front of the store you want to enter and park and then walk in. They do have low occupancy costs, so rent is very low for strip malls. It has one of the lowest rents of the planned retail locations. Now, there are a few disadvantages to operating in a strip mall. One disadvantage is that there's a limited trade area. And what that means is that people aren't willing to drive very far to get to a strip mall. So generally, the people who shop at a strip mall are people who live nearby or work nearby. A disadvantage is a lack of entertainment, and I'm going to let that be a question that you have until we work through a few other of these planned retail locations. But you'll see that some of the other planned retail locations do provide quite a bit of entertainment for their customers. At strip centers, we do not see entertainment. Generally speaking, there are no restaurants, and let's classify that as full-service restaurants in a strip mall. So occasionally there might be a deli, like a Subway, or you might have a ice cream shop or something like that. But there are no sit-down restaurants in a strip mall. And finally, there's no weather protection. So if it is raining or snowing or cold, you can't walk into one store without coming in from the outside. So you do have to go in and out of every individual store at a strip mall. So that's the first type of planned retail locations. The second is what we call a power center. Power centers are shopping centers that consist of full-line discount stores, off-price retailers, warehouse clubs, and category specialists. And they are a collection of freestanding stores. So they are considered a planned shopping center, even though they're a collection of generally freestanding stores. Oftentimes they are kind of a combination of freestanding stores and strip malls, but they're all grouped together. So there might be one or two entries into the center itself, and then you have lots of stores inside that location. An advantage of a power center, these locations also have pretty low rent. Another advantage is that you have decent levels of both foot and vehicle traffic. So people can drive up to the individual stores, or they can park and walk to a lot of the stores in the center as well. The next type of planned retail location we're going to look at are enclosed shopping malls. Enclosed shopping malls are enclosed, climate-controlled, lighted shopping centers. And so you're probably familiar with the traditional shopping mall. An advantage of a shopping mall is that they do attract many shoppers, and the reason being is that there's a wide variety of retail stores that locate in these shopping centers. We talked about how strip malls have a very small trade area. Well, the opposite is true for an enclosed shopping mall. They have a very large trade area. People are willing to drive for quite a bit of time to get to an enclosed shopping mall. And shopping malls are becoming tourist attractions. Today, there's opportunity for customers to combine shopping and entertainment and experiences at shopping malls. So shopping malls are adding things like restaurants and arcades, movie theaters. Some shopping malls even have roller coasters in them. I posted a pretty cool video from the Mall of America, which is the largest shopping mall in the U.S. and one of the largest in the world, talking about how they've really turned their shopping mall into more of a tourist destination than just a shopping destination. So it's pretty cool to look at. Now, shopping malls do have some disadvantages. Shopping malls have one of the highest occupancy costs of all retail locations, so it's very expensive to locate inside a mall. And generally, you're paying a very high rent for a very small space. So stores inside the shopping mall tend to be fairly small. Another disadvantage is that mall management does control your operations. So the planned shopping center management firm does get to decide what hours you're open. They get to make decisions such as the types of signage you can have outside of your store, if you're able to provide samples or not, things like that. So they get to control some of your operational aspects. The other disadvantage is that there is intense competition inside the mall. So if you have one women's apparel store, you have 10. There might be 4 or 5 jewelry stores inside the same shopping mall. Now, this is listed as a disadvantage, but I do want you to take a minute and think about how that intense competition can be turned into an advantage for the retailer. So let's get a conversation going in the discussion board for Chapter 7 about how that competition inside the shopping mall can actually turn into a disadvantage. One other disadvantage that I don't have listed on the screen, but that I do want to talk about, is that malls are often older and unappealing. And the internet channel is really cannibalizing sales of stores that are locating in a shopping mall. One thing to note is that the last new enclosed shopping mall opened in 2006, so 12 years ago. And there are only about 1,100 enclosed malls left in the United States. So fewer and fewer shopping malls. And it's estimated that only about 450 shopping malls have the longevity to last 10 more years. So we're seeing fewer shopping malls as a type of retail location for retailers to operate in. One of the reasons is that the next type of planned retail locations, lifestyle centers, are attracting more customers. So today, customers are choosing the internet or other types of planned retail locations instead of going into an enclosed shopping mall. So let's talk about a lifestyle center. Lifestyle centers are shopping centers that have an open air configuration. They generally consist of specialty stores, entertainment venues, restaurants. They are known for the street furniture that they have out, fountains, lots of greenery. It's very easy for customers to spend a day at a lifestyle center. They're attractive to customers. And it's also very easy to park at lifestyle centers. There's lots of parking. Rent is generally low, and rent is low for these stores. The space is about the same size you would get in an enclosed shopping center, so still very small retail locations for the most part, but the rent is much lower here. Lifestyle centers tend to locate in high-income areas, generally suburbs. Sometimes even locate kind of close to an enclosed shopping center. And so, that high-income area and the low-rent area tends to be a big advantage for retailers who operate in this type of location. There are a couple of disadvantages. Like I said, you do have a small retail space. And another disadvantage is that there's no weather coverage there. So you don't have that protection from snow or rain like you would have inside an enclosed shopping center. All right, we'll keep walking through here. Another type of planned retail location is what we call a mixed-use development. And mixed-use developments combine several uses into one complex. So this is a live, work, play type environment. So generally there are retail stores located in a mixed-use development, but there's also going to be office space, maybe some residential apartments. You might have a hotel here. There might be some recreational facilities, maybe a ballpark, maybe a movie theater, etc. So the Battery in Atlanta is a perfect example of a mixed-use development. It's very pedestrian-oriented, but it is a live, work, play environment. So it's a very efficient use of space. Mixed-use developments are appealing to young professionals and individuals who are just starting their career. And so they want that live, work, play all in one place. And so mixed-use developments really cater to that. Another type of planned retail location is an outlet center. And outlet centers are shopping centers that contain mostly manufacturers and retailers' outlet stores. So these have a very strong entertainment component to try to keep customers on the premises for long periods of time. What's interesting is that today, over 80% of merchandise is now made for outlets. So it's no longer products that have small mistakes or products that are out of season, but it's actually merchandise that's made for outlets. So it could be that a retailer uses different materials for the products at the outlet, or it could be that they don't have as much detail. It could be any little thing, but it's made for the outlet. It's not leftover merchandise. One thing to note about outlet malls is that they do locate in remote locations. A couple of reasons for that. One, outlet centers need a lot of space, and so they generally have to locate outside of town. A second reason for that is that's low rent. So outlet centers have just about the lowest rent of any type of retail location. And then a third reason that they locate in remote locations is because there is lower competition from department stores and specialty stores when you go to an outlet center. All right, so those are the types of planned retail locations. There's another picture of an outlet center. Those are the 7 types of planned retail locations. So there are a lot of similarities between the 7. They all have that central management component, but there's a lot of differences too. So there are reasons why retailers locate in certain types of locations. So think about your favorite retailer and think about the types of retail locations that they tend to operate in. So you can start that discussion in the discussion boards for Chapter 7, and let's think about why certain retailers choose specific retail locations.